You're listening to the Beats and Bars podcast hosted by BATTL Beats. This podcast is out there to shine a light on the most slept on and underrated rappers and producers.
It's battle, baby.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Beats and Bars podcast. My name is BATTL Beats and we are joined with a very special guest. We've got Wyshmaster Beats. How's it going, bro?
How's it going, Battle? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. So for those that are listening, Wyshmaster Beats is a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum producer, and he's worked with some big names. He's the guy behind the beat on the I'm on a Boat song, Tech Nine, Nelly, Rick Ross, Pitbull, T-Pain. I'm going on, but there's a lot more than that. If you check out his website, you can see his full list of credits. It's really, really cool to see. And the reason why I know Wyshmaster Beats is because I'm a part of the MIDI Money family, and we sell beats via funnels and beat bundles and things, and Wish is a coach, so I've learned a lot from him. So it's just great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. What time is it there?
Time is 6:15 in the evening.
Okay.
So someone I work closer with is from Houston, so I'm used to the 6 hours ahead thing.
Yeah,
so
right.
For me, it's every time I'm sending out like, oh, are you free at this time? I always send it at their time, and then because I kind of know all the time zones, how far they're behind, so it's just easier that way. To if I was to say, oh, are you free 9 o'clock UK time? Usually they're like, well, what time is that? So I'm like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. You know, it's just easier for them.
Yeah, right.
You know, I try and make things as easy for people as I can. But
Nice, very cool.
But first off the bat, I saw one of your ads about the competition you're holding with Stevie Stone. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? That looks pretty cool to me.
Yeah, so basically, when you tell most artists about like leasing and all that kind of stuff, they just kind of throw their nose up at it. They're like, I don't want to do all that and license music. But I talked to him and told him what I was doing as far as like package deals and looking out for artists and giving them like a whole bunch of value, and told him like the whole new technique, like the MIDI money. And he and like I said, when I talk to most artists, they're like, man, that sounds cool, but I need to focus on the industry. He was like, I'm all for it. He's like, man, how can I help? I said, well, I mean, somebody he's a Billboard charting artist, man. Like he gets, every time he drops an album, it goes on Billboard. So I said, would you want to do some like unreleased hooks and verses and like put a package together? And then from there, we're like, well, why don't we just do a contest too? So we put this awesome package together, which we're going to release in September. But right now we're doing a contest for, so they'll get that pack, which is like worth over like $3,000. They're going to get a microphone bundle. What else? T-shirt, a pro mix. My engineer, who's worked with like Travis Scott and a whole bunch of people, he's going to mix one of their songs. And all they have to do is do a 12-bar verse over like an unreleased beat and hook from him and me.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
So the way that works, that a rapper just links up on you. Is it your email list, your text list, that you get their email, and then you send them the beat instantly? And
So they'll get the rules that they have to follow, and then they could download the beat and hook from there. Yeah.
Nice. I try and host monthly competitions with my email list, and it's good fun just to connect with them. I'm hosting one at the moment, and the prize is 25 beats. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, me and Billy from the group, we do we're going to start. We did a microphone giveaway contest. We're going to start doing that monthly too. So
nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
But you've been in the music game for over 15 years or so. How
20 years?
20 is it that long? 20 years.
Yeah, about 20 years, man. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Long time.
That is super cool, and it's just really cool to see your journey. I was listening to the Producer Grind podcast with you on, and some of the stories you were telling about the placements you've landed, and just the journey you've had. It's just really cool to see. For me, I'm an underground producer from the UK, and I've not had any big placements. I'm just trying to figure out how to sell beats and all of that stuff. And mainly I was playing in bands growing up as a teenager in my early 20s. It wasn't really until 5 years ago when me and a friend were in a band, and we were like, we need to produce our own record, because he had producer experience before. He was a few years older than me. So we produced an indie rock album, but we never did anything with it. And then from then we kind of just went our separate ways, and I started producing my own thing. Because I play guitar and the keys, I went down like a
Very
weird
cool.
synth 80s pop vibe, and then
Okay.
eventually I ended up watching Curtis King videos like 3 years ago. So then I was like, I just want to make beats, and I started making beats, and then from there I went out as BATTL and started selling beats and things, and it's been pretty cool. But so if you've been going 20 years, what is your what were the main inspirations back then when you were like, oh, I really want to
So
start producing?
I started just like you, man. I was excited, and I wasn't in a band, but I was a DJ,
Hmm.
and I used to just spin records, and I got really into. I'm from Chicago, and like house music was really big, and then like Chicago rap music, which is like Do or Die or Christian Conflict or Twister. I don't know if you ever heard of them,
Yeah,
but
Twister. I know Twister.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I've worked with him.
Have you?
But he, yeah, well, he's one of my favorites, man.
Well, funny story. Sorry, funny
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
Obviously, in England, rap hip hop wasn't really that big. The only people who really listened to was like 50 and Eminem, because that
yeah,
was 15 years ago when I was at school. Like as a teenager, that's all we listened. Twister. I remember he did that song, and he was like the fastest rapper ever at the time. I can't remember the song what it's called, but
yeah.
um,
Adrenaline Rush or something. I don't know. He's
something
a
like
big
that.
guy.
And me and my mates were just like, how can this guy spit so fast? He was,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool that you worked with him. That's
Yeah,
funny.
so it's between him and Tech Nine, I guess, to see who's faster. But
Mm.
there's a rapper I worked with out there. I think he's from there. Gigs. Have you heard of Gigs?
I'm
UK
sure.
rapper.
I'm sure I've heard his music.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I did a single for him and B.O.B. Yeah, that
nice.
was, I guess, they're really big over there.
Yeah, B.O.B. was
Yeah.
really good live when I saw him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I started as a DJ, and then same thing. I started seeing like online stuff about beats, and well, I was really into like Timberland, Dr. Dre, and Neptunes. And I decided I want to start making beats. I bought my first keyboard, started messing around, and then I got to a point where I was making decent beats, and then I uploaded them to. Or no, I'm sorry, I was working a job as a security guard, like doing like computers. I was basically a security guard at computer college, so it was just easy. So I started going online and I started looking up like what do I do with beats or producers, and started doing all these searches. And then I found a website called mp3.com, and I saw some producers were putting beats up there. So I decided to put all my beats up there, and then I started making money just by people clicking on the beats. And then from there, I started selling them for exclusive and then leasing them. And that's how I got in the industry. It was not based off of me knowing anybody. It was me just hustling my ass off selling beats online. And then I started getting, to know a lot more people, and people started reaching out to me from like companies. And my
Yeah,
first big, probably big thing I did in the industry was a game called NBA Ballers by Midway Games, and that was like my first big check. I made like 25K, and then that's when I decided I'm going to quit,
yeah.
working and just do music full time. So,
What
yeah,
was
man,
that? What was that
that's
like? So you got that big first check, and then because
yeah,
25K, obviously you'll have to have paid tax on that and things like that. But after all of that,
maybe
that
I don't remember. I don't remember if I did.
yeah, well, that's a
You're
whole
supposed to, right? Yeah,
yeah, that's a whole
yeah,
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But so obviously you quit your job after if obviously that's a massive amount of money probably for you at the time. It's probably like
right,
I've just
exactly.
made in this short amount of time what I probably would have made in the year, or maybe or maybe more or less or whatever.
Right, and that was on top of me leasing beats too. So it was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
between that and that, I bought my first car in cash, and I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet were you on cloud nine, like literally, like
Oh,
this.
definitely, man. It was just great to see that something, for me just sitting in a basement making beats and then just uploading into a computer could have took me to that point. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then from there, everybody started hitting me up, and
Yeah.
just went,
So
that's when I started skyrocketing.
did you have any like periods of like downfall where you got that big payout? Was there any moments where it was like, oh, I don't know if I might have to get another job, or was there any moments of
Yeah,
where you
I
was
mean,
a bit
yeah, of course.
scared?
I've definitely had moments like that. I got called up to work with Nelly out of St. Louis. So I moved to St. Louis and was working with him, and I stopped selling beats online. I was just like, because a lot of people were getting in my head. They were saying, hey, you don't want to be just an internet producer, which doesn't even make sense. But back then I was like, yeah, I don't want to be an internet producer. I just want to be an industry producer.
Yeah,
And but working with artists in the industry, you don't get paid. It's like you only get paid if you get a placement on the record. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't pay you by the hour or something. They'll say, oh, come
mm,
on, Wish, make some beats, and put them on my album. Now it's you work your ass off trying to pump out the best record you can to make the album. And during that time, because I wasn't selling beats, I wasn't making as much money. So yeah, it's like, and I was married. Well, I'm still married, but she was working, so she was basically paying most of the rent because I'm sitting there, even though I'm working with this huge superstar, I'm
Yeah,
not getting
yeah,
paid for it. So yeah, but I mean, I would still sell beats and still hustle, but it wasn't like the same because I wasn't doing that online thing that that was consistent.
yeah,
Um, but then from that, then I started meeting more people, and then I started getting some huger records, and then that's when I started, getting bigger, bigger amount of money where it was just took care of that. So, but yeah, definitely, man, there's been some struggle.
nice. Would you say that it was more of like a word of mouth? People saying, to all the big industry guys, you want to work with Wish. Obviously, you hear this track that he's done, it's awesome. Or did you try and put yourself in situations to get them placements and things like that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I would hold them up by gunpoint and make them work with me. So no, I'm just kidding. No, it's definitely word of mouth. Like when you start having a sound, people are going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, who made that beat? Right. And like, oh, Wish did it. And like, oh, who's with that? Put me in contact with them.
Yeah, yeah,
And then on top of that, you have to hustle your ass off on your own. Like you have to keep pushing records to people. And that's what I was doing. Anybody I could even link. So if like Nelly was there with, let's say the A&R from Universal, I'd say, hey, can I meet this person? Then I'd start talking to them and start, hey, do you have anything going on? Do you have any artists you're working with? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You kind of have to put yourself out there. You don't want to annoy people and like spam them and,
yeah,
say, and just
sure,
keep
yeah.
sending them stuff. But you just, say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working with. I'd love to get on, any projects you're working on. And then from doing that, then I started getting reached by different record labels. And then that's how I got on a boat. I was in Nelly's studio and, they called, well, not even them, it was an A&R, and they said, hey, do you have any beats for this artist? And that's how I got that placement.
That is really cool. Would you say that the placement game is different now as it was 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's because like I said, back then you're in the studios, you're working, you're meeting a lot of people. And now, like, there's not as many studios around because everybody has technology, and even some of these bigger artists are recording in their homes. You know what I mean? They're just and if they, make a record that they think is going to go, then they might book out a studio and get better quality. But even a lot of their engineers are just like, hey, let's just go over here, do it from the house, record it. Like I said, when I was kind of coming up, it was like go to the studio, let's cook up some music. And just with everybody going on YouTube now getting beats,
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. But I mean, I still get placements. I work with Strange Music still a lot. But I reach out to them all the time and I say, hey, can I send them some beats? But yeah, I'm not in the studio with them because I'm in Nashville and they're over in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Nice.
it's definitely different. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible for people to do, but I think people need to focus more on getting their music out there online and sell
Yeah.
beats and then let people come to you. That's why I say work hard now and let people come to you. Then you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build my presence as a music producer and selling, growing my online business, selling beats and things. And then hopefully eventually once a bit more of my music is out there, people can be like, oh yeah, I heard that song by BATTL, let's hit him up and things like that. But at the moment I'm still I'm still new to the whole thing. So I'm still pushing the boundaries of selling beats and stuff like that.
Well,
But
and here's the thing: if you put all your beats on all these platforms, all these rappers now that everybody loves, like the Baby, Little Baby,
mhm,
whoever it is, they started getting beats on YouTube and all these platforms until
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
discovered them. So focus on maybe one of those artists that are coming up that could possibly put you on instead of you
Mhm.
chasing somebody else. Like people ask me like, oh, do you chase Drake placements or how do I get on Drake's? I'm like, that's not an easy thing to do. Like he
He
has his
probably
own
got
producer. Like
10 producers that he
that's what I'm
has.
saying. And the top guys in the world. So it's
Mm,
like, you can't just walk up to him and say, oh, I got some beats for you. You know what I mean? That's,
mm.
you have to do a lot of network. But what you can do is find these guys that are upcoming and reach out to them and throw them some trap. If you think
Mm.
someone's super good at music and you think they're going to go somewhere, why would you not want to,
Yeah,
contribute to
exactly.
that?
I mean, yeah, as I said earlier, one of my, good mates, he's called WN. He's a Houston rapper. He makes funny YouTube videos as well. Me and him have almost become like best mates just over the course of making music. It started off with us being in a group chat, and then he bought some beats off me, and then I said, "Hey, man, I'll just mix them all for you, so you got consistency with your EP." And then now we're working on the second EP, and it's like I've we've just we just work so well, and we want to grow together with each other. because I think he's really good. So I think that's solid advice for.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Work with him, and of course, and if you're helping him too as a producer, like a lot of us as producers, we're so creative that we can help them on a level they don't hear. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they're of course artists too, but you can guide them in that that the how they can say their lyrics, how much energy they put into it, how they sing, whatever. Um, and that's kind of that's kind of like me and Stevie. That's why that's why we have that chemistry, because we're just cool. We work good together. And then even when I was talking about it, he was just like, "Yeah, man, I want to do this." So I
That
thought
is
that was the
cool.
coolest thing on earth. Yeah.
That is cool. What would you say? What would you say is like the main things that you've learned over the past few years whilst doing funnels and email marketing? That growing that relationship you have with your the rappers, the artists that are your customers. What is it? The value that you can bring to them? Because I think there's a few underground rappers that might be listening who don't necessarily have that good relationship with a solid producer. Um,
Yeah.
what would you say to that?
I think the best thing which is funny. So I started off as a beat maker, and then I turned into a producer, because there is a difference. I can work on the studio with an artist and guide them along. And that's all about building that relationship, building trust, being honest with them. And it's
Hmm.
funny, when I came back to selling beats online a few years ago, it's like I went to just, oh, this is who I am, this is my name, and why don't you buy my beats, right? There's no like personal part of it. It was just, hey, I've got a Grammy nomination, I have worked with all these people, go buy my, and it wasn't working. And I'm just like, damn. And it was either people or didn't believe me, or they're
Yeah,
just like, they didn't give a shit. They're just like, okay, so, you know,
yeah,
and is when I started really getting into the, learning marketing, and especially like MIDI money stuff, is like, you actually are building a relationship, a working
mm,
relationship with these people. Like, you're talking with them, you're listening to their music, you're telling about your life, they're telling you about their lives. And it's like, that's what it is to be a producer, you know what I mean? So I think more than anything, just to build that bond is what's taken me from, I was probably making a few grand when I came back, and now I'm making 15 to 20K a month, just because of building that, and learning retargeting and marketing, and all the psyche stuff that comes with it.
mm. Yeah, that's crazy. What would you say? Because I know that you've got kids and a wife, and you've got a
One
family.
kid.
One kid? That's one
Yeah.
kid. So in the producer grind, you said kids, and I was like, oh, he must have one
Oh,
more.
did I?
Yeah, but
uh
it's no big. I just thought, oh, maybe you got more than one kid. Well,
no,
one
no.
kid's great. One kid's great, but I
Yeah,
don't
I was
have
like, is there
kids.
something I don't, or no?
No, no. Yeah, little Wish running around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm not going to have kids yet with my wife, but that'll come soon. That'll come
Yeah.
soon. What was I going to say? That was it. When you was coming up, why do you not think that just saying, "Hey, I'm Wish, I work with these guys, I'm Grammy nominated," why do you think that didn't work? Was it just because it was such a bold statement that people were maybe a bit scared to do it? Because in my head, I would more think, "Oh wow, that's comparing it to me, who's just underground, just starting out over the past
Hmm.
few years. If you put us two and two and together, in my head, the rapper would obviously go to your beats over mine because the tried and tested. But why did you think you didn't hit as many goalposts as you did?
I think it's because, like I said, I wasn't getting personal, and like, I'm sure, I've heard so many people say they get scammed online by producers and all kinds of things. They probably thought I was just another scam guy,
Hmm.
or they're like, okay, that's cool, but I'm not, what are you going to do for me? You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's fine, you've done that, but how is that going to help me in my career? And I think by explaining those type of things, say, well, because I have these connections, I could possibly get you on a sync placement or whatever, if you send me your records. You know what I mean?
Mm,
um and that's, I think, it is, it's just, there's no personal part of it. It's just saying, hey, this is, this. But I see it every day. I see people scamming online saying, hey, I
mm,
worked with Travis Scott, send me $500 and I'll collab with you. And I've gotten that email before. I'm sitting there like, what the hell is it? And
mm.
then people tell me that they paid money to these people and been ripped off.
Yeah, it's
So I
crazy.
think there's a whole lot of that going around.
Mm. As well as being a media money coach, you're selling your beats online. You run a school as well for
I do,
training
yes.
producers. How did you get into doing that?
So about 9 years ago, I was living in LA. I was there for a couple years, and I got called from one of my buddies, who got called from Nelly, that they wanted to open up a college out in St. Louis, and they wanted to do a music school. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. And he said, well, how do you feel about that? I said, well, I'm not really a big school person, as far as like, I feel like sometimes they teach you, sometimes the teachers are just out of date, or they say, oh, back in the day, we used to run our cables like not doing the modern, stuff that we need to learn. And he's like, okay, well, what if I told you that I could build you a production wing here in St. Louis, and you could teach beats however you want to teach them, and you don't have to listen to anybody and tell you how to do it? I said, I would be very interested in doing that. So he said, all right, man, come to St. Louis. So I came to St. Louis, and I ran that school with him for about 7 years. But it was really more around recording. Like, even though I had my beat thing, it was like a couple of beat classes. It was more about recording engineering, which is great. But I mean, that craft is kind of going away a little bit, as far as like people are doing it themselves, and and people can't get jobs in studios. So I left there, because I just didn't, I just knew it wasn't going anywhere. So I mean, they closed 2 months later, which is sad. But I got an opportunity in Nashville to open up my own production school, which is I call it like the modern day producer, and it's teaching like what we do, and even how we just talked about, how do you work with an artist? Somebody who's making beats doesn't know how to work with an artist. So I teach you how to vocal produce, and how to actually guide somebody along, and how to bring out the best in them. And I teach you how to make beats, and how to sell them, how to market yourself, teach you about songwriting and things of that nature. So yeah, it's a well-rounded modern producer. You know what I mean? Something that you could do on your own now and run your own business. So.
That's pretty cool. So
yeah,
seeing as you have, you are a family man, how do you fit it all in then?
Man, that's a tough one. I always say this to everybody else in the group. I say, work hard now so you can work less later. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just working my ass off. And, I spend time with my family. I run that school, and I run my beat business, and I just make it work because I'm just motivated, man. That's the thing. I think I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
I guess people tell me like, oh, wish you've done all these records. I say, yeah, but I'm not Timberland. I'm not Pharrell, and I think that just keeps me going, because I'm like, I want to be that status. You know what I'm saying? I want to be Dr. Dre. So, and I think that's what motivates me. So like I said, I don't know how I do it, man, but I do it.
Yeah, I think it's great. Before, COVID came in, I was doing 50, 60 hours of my day job, coming home and just putting in night after night on my beats. And I think when you love what you do, you just do it. You just don't complain. You just get on with it.
If you love what you do, it's not work, right?
Yeah. I get a lot of mates hitting me up saying, Charlie, like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just do it? And they're like, oh, well, I don't, if I'm at work watching a screen all day, I don't want to spend another 4 hours watching the screen, or, and you just get excuses. And I'm just like, by no means have I made it, but I'm motivated. I know where I'm going. And it's like, right. you just do what you love, and you just get on with it because you're passionate. You want to build a better present, want to build a better future for where you are. And I think that's what more people need to hear, especially some of these artists and producers, because they might be super talented, and if they just don't put the work in, they might just waste the talent. And it's such a shame.
Nobody's gonna do the work for you. Like, I've had managers come and go. Nobody's ever worked as hard as I do.
Yeah,
because nobody's invested as you are. You know what I mean? So it's, to say, oh, one day I'm going to blow up and somebody's going to find me and put me on, like, that's not going to happen, especially nowadays.
exactly.
Record labels won't even touch you unless you have a following already, unless you're already blowing up online and YouTube and all that stuff. Record labels not even going to talk to you, which I don't even think you need to sign a record deal, but it's just, that's if that's your dream.
There's other ways. I've got a mate who literally is strictly producing house music, and he's been signed by some small label, and that's all he's doing now. But it's like it's a shame, because his wife is bringing in all the money, and he's literally he's producing singles, but they're just not hit, and he's just waiting for his big break. And I'm just thinking, you're not putting the work into. You might be producing a great record, but because you're not building, your fan base, you're not building yourself up as a DJ and producer. It's a shame when he releases these songs, because they might get 5K streams, but that's not that many. You know what I mean?
No, that's not that much money at all. And like, he could have a beat site right, a funnel going right now while he's doing that. He could always chase that. That's what I'm saying. I still work in the industry. But I don't chase it. It's like I used to be so hungry. I would jump at anything. Now I'm just like, if they call me, I'm like, let's work. You know what I mean? That's but I'm crazy. So focused on just like, I love this online game right now. Like, You know,
Yeah.
I love the online music game. It's a lot of fun. There's so much out there. It's so much bigger than when I first started.
Mm.
And you know, all these people saying it's oversaturated. It's like, well, if that were true, then I wouldn't have been leasing beats 15 years ago. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's still going strong. So
Yeah. What would you say is like what would you say the next 10 years are looking like for you then?
probably get old, die. Besides that, no. I would say I'm just gonna. I mean, in all honesty, I want to build like a producer empire one of these days. Like I want to. Now I sound like your friend. One day I'm gonna. I that's my next plan is to put together something for producers. You know what I mean? Like some kind of something. You know what I mean? Because I do have a lot to offer, and I'm doing the school thing, but I want to make it just bigger than that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's a platform, if it's just some, you know, something. It's gonna be something.
That's cool.
And I'm still gonna produce beats. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be 60-year-old man, 70-year-old man sitting there making beats on YouTube. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like I just love making music. At the end of the day, whether I've sold them or not, I'm still gonna sit here and make beats. It's like therapy, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep pushing selling beats online as long as I can, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you keep
But eventually, I will put this out there. I'm gonna start putting. I'm just gonna start putting producers on too. So I might start like bringing in producers on to wishmasterbeats.com and all that stuff. So
Isn't that
yeah,
what Gabe does? Gabe has a few
yeah,
producers.
exactly. Like Legion Beats, and then Anno Domini does the same thing. So
How does that work though? Because obviously, say Legion Beats hired me as a producer,
yeah.
and say I made that beat, does
Yeah.
then the writers element of that beat just go to Gabe or Legion Beats as an example, or would the person on his
I don't
team
know
who
how he
actually
does
made?
it. I'm pretty sure he says like, you know, whoever like Gabe by Legion Beats and probably gives them the writing credit. I mean, and I don't know if Gabe does that, but I could pretty much guarantee he's a good dude. So I'm sure he
Yeah,
gives everybody
he
their own
seems
writing
like
credit.
he seems
But he
like a
might,
pretty
you know,
nice
but
guy.
he might take a bigger chunk off the top because he's doing all the work, he's doing all the marketing and stuff. So, you know, I don't know how their thing is. So that's a thing. It's like if you are going to bring people on, they have to understand like if you're doing this much work and you're bringing the clientele, there has to be different types of percentages. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But as
really
far as like
cool.
writing credit, I'm sure he just gives it to them. You know, or
Yeah,
splits it or something.
nice. What would you say are the things that are holding you back from growing like a bigger team? Because I know that you work very much by yourself at the moment, and you know
All by
you are
myself.
all by yourself. What
Yeah.
are the things that are stopping you from maybe growing and delving into getting a bit of a team going?
It's really one thing. It's trust, man. It's hard for me to trust that somebody's going to work as hard as I can and put in the work or actually care about something that's not theirs. And I've dealt with so many people that if it's not their music or it's not their thing, they just don't put all the work into it. You know,
Mm,
um, like I mean, I do work with like one of my buddies, Phil, is an engineer, and you know he's been doing a lot of stuff. He's someone I trust. You know, he works super hard, but that's what
hmm
he's doing. He's an artist. He's an engineer. I would never say, you know, or he would never want to come do like something for wishmasterbeats.com, like as far as like maybe like marketing or emailing and stuff like that. But I mean, that's probably the one thing. If I could find somebody that actually really came to me and would push hard, and I could trust it, you know, that they would work that hard, I mean, I definitely would take somebody on. But that's the only reason,
What sort of
you know.
person are you looking for then?
Like just somebody's hungry and ready to learn and just work hard. Like if I say, hey, today you're just gonna be uploading beats, I don't want you to like say, oh, I'm not doing that. That's not what I do. You know what I mean?
Hmm
You sometimes you have to do the things you don't want to do to get to the place you want to be. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
every other person in the music industry has
basically
either,
just like
yeah,
an assistant who does the jobs that you don't necessarily
yeah,
have to do. It's like any
exactly,
successful business person that I've chatted to. My this guy bought a massive house next to his nursery, and he was like, I haven't got time to do my big lawn, so I'm just going to hire someone to do it. It's like
yeah,
he could spend an hour doing that lawn, or he could pay someone £10, $15, and then it's
mm,
done for him. It just like makes his load easier, so when he can actually focus and do the music, no, not the
yeah,
music, sorry, but do work in his business. And I think
exactly.
I've heard a bunch of successful entrepreneurs say they hire people to do things that they don't want to, not that they don't want to do, but they just
They don't go high on the
yeah
priority list, is what it
yeah
is. Yeah,
yeah
yeah,
they
exactly. No,
can do the main
I'm totally
thing.
open, man. I just have to. I'd have to meet somebody that's like, hey, man, I'm willing to do this stuff, and you know, because this is what people don't understand. Like in the industry, when you work for somebody, even doing like, let's say shit jobs or something, you actually learn because you're behind them, seeing what they're doing. So that in turn can turn you into a beast at doing music. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's working with me, they're going to see all my techniques, what I do. And then they could be like, oh, I could branch off now and do my own thing. You know what I mean? I have the skills and I've learned so much just by working there, you know?
Yeah. And then you could get another person to then train up, and then you build then you've got a bit of a legacy there, because then your skills then flow off into that producer who knows who he's going to teach, and who knows that who he's going to teach, and it's just it's just a cool,
and,
it's really,
and that's what I think there's too much, and that's what I see a lot of this day and age is a lot of entitlement. And, you know, I think a lot of rappers and producers just feel entitled that they're owed something. And it's like, I never felt like I was owed anything. I still don't. I just work hard and hope for the best. You know what I mean? But you have to get that out of your head, like that's that false sense of entitlement that says I'm owed something. I'm good at beats, so I should be in the industry and have all these placements. That's not how it works. You know, it's the early bird gets to the worm. You know what I mean? That whoever was going to work hard and get in front and get noticed, they're the ones who are going to win. You know?
Definitely. Hey, it's really good. It's really just good to chat to you, get to know you, and hear your story. Because me, I'm a underground producer, just trying to get this whole beat selling game working, and I really want it to compare with my 9 to 5 wage, so then eventually I can quit my job and just work music full time. You know, that would be the dream. And I really appreciate all the tips and tricks that you drop in the Midi Money group, and, you know, the fact that you were willing to come on the podcast with me and just get to know each other, just chat. And it's really great to see that, you know, someone who's got the great accolades like you, and, you know, really successful beat selling business, could just come on and spend, you know, 45 minutes chatting. It's really cool. So I do
appreciate you having me, man. I'm that's my mission, is to help people, man. There's nothing better than it, you know. And I didn't notice that until I got an education. And it's like you learn so much and you give so much back that it's like it's great to just help others. And can I make one suggestion for you?
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't call yourself an underground producer. I would just call yourself a producer, because by doing that, you're shutting off people thinking like, oh, he just makes underground beats. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying, hey, I'm a producer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just one suggestion, because how you come off or what you say can make somebody think a certain way. And even when I tell people that, like, oh, I sell only rap beats, I said, why would you sell only rap beats? Because they're for rappers. I said, why? Singers actually sing on rap beats too. So you're going to close off that whole demographic because you feel like they're just rap beats. You know what I mean? R&B singers sing on rap beats. You know what I mean? So it's just a little suggestion for you, man.
No, I guess that comes down to like self-esteem in a lot of ways, because you know,
of course.
I know that I've got good beats. I know that I make really good beats in my style.
That's all that matters. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And I've got enough people behind me to believe myself. But I guess trying to be just a humble, good dude as well. You know, not trying to big myself up too much. But no, I think that's good advice. So I'm definitely going to take that on board, and
Good,
I appreciate it. But I think we'll wrap it up there, man. And where can everyone check you out? Where can we send people?
Just Wyshmaster Beats, WYSH Master Beats, anywhere on social media, or wishmasterbeats.com. So yeah, that's it.
Happy days. Thank you for listening to the Beats and Bars podcast. I'm your host, Battle Beats. See you next week.
It's battle.